Welcome to the Toss-Up. We're nearly a quarter of the way into the NFL season, and already the league's given us everything. Surprise contenders, shaky starts from supposed powerhouses, and a handful of players turning into early season stars. Tonight, we'll break down the biggest storylines, debate which teams are for real, and look ahead to what's coming next on the schedule. Welcome in to the Toss-Up. Welcome into the Toss-Up. I'm your host, Luke Brenneman, and I am joined by a fantastic panel to break down the NFL tonight. Let's start off with the man making his Toss-Up debut, freshman from Chicago, Illinois, somehow a Cowboys fan, Connor Joy. Connor, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Luke.
Ben Holler and Zach Browning. Both of these guys, they've been on here for what seems like forever. But Ben, a Cincinnati Bengal fan, we may agree on a lot too much considering the Bengals are shaky right now. And Zach, he's forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. Indiana football beat writer and big Indianapolis Colts fan. We'll start atop the NFL with the first question. This is for everyone. Connor, we'll start with you and make our way around. Who is the best team in the NFL right now and why?
I mean, for me, Luke, I think the best team in the NFL is going to be the Buffalo Bills. They're off to a great start. They've proved that they can win when it matters in tight games late in the game. Week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens, that was a great test for them, and Josh Allen truly solidified himself, to me, as the best quarterback in the NFL, and the numbers back it up. He's top 5 in QBR, he's top 10 in yards, and he's got quite a few passing touchdowns as well as a couple of rushing touchdowns to supplement that, and he's really doing it without a solidified wide receiver one. The defense is looking really good, and overall, I just think they're the best team through the first quarter of the season.
That's the MVP favorite as well. Ben, who's your best team in football?
I mean, obviously, it's a two-horse race right now, and I feel like everybody's going to say the Bills. So this might be dodging the question a little bit, but if you go between the Bills and the Eagles, I'm just going to say Eagles right now because I cannot trust the Bills in playoff time and when it matters the most. And obviously, I can trust the Eagles. Kind of a little bit of Chiefs treatment. They won the Super Bowl last year, Eagles did, so I'm going to stick with them after their 4-game start.
I will say that play style of just smash mouth football, running the ball, defense really solid. They turn teams over. It's consistent.
And they can't get the ball to A.J. Brown right now, and they're still winning, which I think is a really good sign.
Right. Big win last week against Tampa Bay on the road. Zach, your best team in football?
Well, I like to be different. So the Bills, the Eagles, they've already been said, the two undefeated teams. So I'm going to go the Rams because the Rams are the only team in the NFL that should have beaten the Eagles. I'm not impressed with the Bills and their lack of strength of schedule. I think their wins have a combined 2 wins. Their opponents have a combined 2 wins on the season. So I'm not very impressed with them. I need to see them pass the ball. I need to see the Eagles pass the ball before I get convinced and impressed by them. It was a blocked kick away from the Rams beating the Eagles a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to go with the Rams. Matthew Stafford, he's been around the block. I think he's 37 at this point. He knows how to win football games, especially in January. I got the Rams.
Short rest this week. They play on Thursday night. Ben, we'll start with you. Who has been, you can take this either way, and that's for everybody, the biggest surprise through now 4 weeks of the NFL season, whether it's in specific player, a teams, maybe even someone slumping?
I'll go with the team in the positive way. I'll go with the Los Angeles Chargers. I think, the pieces have been there. Obviously, it's been the story the last half decade or so. But since Harbaugh got there and they brought in Jesse Minter, who's done a fantastic job with their defense. And then how about Keenan Allen coming back and still having a big part and being a big part of that wide receiver trio, which is one of the best wide receiver trios in the NFL. Justin Herbert finally has that consistency with not only the offensive line, but with his weapons around him. And the defense has been consistent too.
I know I'm not necessarily allowed to chime in, but I really like that pick. Connor, what about you?
For me, it's the Baltimore Ravens. They lost Week 1 to the Buffalo Bills, and ever since then, they really haven't been able to turn it around. Their only win is against the Cleveland Browns, who look terrible to start the year. Lamar Jackson is putting up a great season, but what's happened to Derrick Henry? A really good performance in Week 1. He's had some fumble issues, and he really isn't running the ball with the same authority that he normally is. And pair that with a defense that keeps giving up a lot of points to all their opponents, they just have surprised me in almost every negative way possible.
I mean, Derrick Henry after that start in Week 1, but also the fumbles. Not only are they bad, the numbers, but the timely fashion. 2 in the fourth quarter, arguably lost games so far this year. Zach, your biggest surprise?
Yeah, well, I think the Ravens, they have been a surprise, and it's interesting. I think Derrick Henry thinks he's playing basketball with the way he keeps putting the football on the turf. But I'm going to go in an opposite way. I'm going to go with the team that surprised me positively, and that's the AFC South's Jacksonville Jaguars. I thought you guys thought I was going to say the Colts, but no. We'll get to that later. The Jaguars, 3-1, an impressive victory against 49ers team last week that is 3-1 themselves. I think Trevor Lawrence is figuring things out slowly. They're just figuring out ways to win. The strength of schedule hasn't been too impressive to start the year, but they're figuring out ways to win, and that's what good teams do.
Absolutely, and when you talk about the Jags, 3 wins, their only loss came against the Bengals, ironically, who arguably look like one of the worst teams, if not the worst, in the NFL right now. And T-Law, when they were really good and right there, especially even as a playoff team, he was the man. They haven't looked great. It's been the defense. So that new head coaching situation over there really panning out. Now let's get region specific, if you will. Ben, we'll start outside of the state of Indiana, and we'll go to Cincinnati. No Joe Burrow, no defense, no fun right now for your Bengals. What's the future look like in Cincinnati, and how's the season going to shake up?
The future's tough. I mean, it's not even worth talking about the defense right now because we knew that was going to be really bad coming into the year. What's happening with the offense is, I think, one, you're seeing the value of Joe Burrow now that he's been out. It's just ridiculous. They can't throw the ball over the middle because they don't trust Drake Browning to not throw an interception. He had 3 when he came in the middle of the game against the Jaguars. Still won the game somehow, but nonetheless, had 3 interceptions that game. They can't run the ball because the offensive line is atrocious. Last week against the Vikings, or 2 weeks ago, Chase Brown had 2 carries where he did not get touched before the line of scrimmage. I mean, that is just atrocious. Last 2 weeks, they've had more penalties than they've had points, which happens every once in a while in 1 week. But for that to roll over to 2 weeks, it's ridiculous. I don't know what the future looks like. To be honest, I would love to be optimistic, but don't know what it would look like even with Joe Burrow right now. There's just been no care into the defense, into the offensive line. And everybody's using Zach Taylor as a scapegoat, saying he has no answers. I don't think there's a coach who has ever been in the game of football who would have an answer for this right now.
Fair enough. The penalties and just overall lack of readiness to play. I will kicker it with a follow-up question. Is it time to move on from the Zach Taylor era in Cincinnati?
I don't think it is. I think you have to give him one more full season of Joe Burrow being healthy before I'm ready to let go. At the same time, it is a franchise who held on to Marvin Lewis for way too long, a very long time. So I know there's a lot of fans who just don't want to see that happen again, but I'll go no right now.
All right, that's the Cincinnati Bengals, and a little bit closer to us here in the Franklin Hall Studios. In Indianapolis, the Colts, 3-1 start. Zach, you grew up a Colts fan. You know a lot about the Indy Colts. That's their best start since 2021. What's been going right, and do you think they're going to keep it up, or how can they keep it up?
Yeah, pinch me. This is not something I've ever really seen in my life as a Colts fan. The success early on in the season, at least. And really, it's just the offense. The defense, thank you for the defensive coordinator. It's been all right, nothing crazy, but the offense has really been what's led the way so far for the Colts. Top of the NFL, one of the top teams in the NFL in yardage and in scoring, and it's about finding a quarterback, not a good quarterback. We're not talking about Daniel Jones in terms of MVP conversations, but just being serviceable enough to win football games, and that's what's happening right now. The weapons have always been there. Jonathan Taylor is still one of the top running backs in the league. Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, the list goes on of the weapons along that offense. The offensive line is good as well. It was just about finding a quarterback that frankly wasn't Anthony Richardson that could get the ball consistently on time and on target to those receivers, and that's what we've seen so far from Indiana Jones.
So we've seen that so far. I like that a lot. Jonathan Taylor, also the second favorite for Offensive Player of the Year right now. I want to ask you a follow-up on the Colts. We've seen system quarterbacks or guys who can just go in there and be serviceable enough to get wins, really make deep playoff runs. I mean, Brock Purdy's career started and spark-plugged in a spot like that. Do you think that's possible in the AFC with Daniel Jones?
Yes, I wouldn't necessarily refer to Daniel Jones as a game manager, more of just a connector. He's the connecting piece because he does more than just manage the game. He does a great job connecting to his targets and whatnot. And we've seen it in the NFL with Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. There are guys that they just aren't the right fit in that situation. And I think that's probably what the situation was with Daniel Jones in New York. I think he's found a place, Shane Steichen, an offensive-minded guy, and I think he's getting the best out of Daniel Jones so far.
I like that. Connor, I turn to you. I'm not going to get specific in where you go with this question, but we've talked about local teams. We've talked a lot about the teams atop the NFL right now. Who are we not really talking about come now week 5 approaching this weekend that you think deserves a little more light, and especially come the midway playoff picture talk is going to be right there?
For me, it's the New England Patriots. I think that they have a very realistic but still outside chance of making the playoffs. Drake May has really taken that step, elevated his game to the next level. He almost looks more like a dual threat quarterback, which I don't think is something that a lot of people saw coming. I think the Mike Vrabel hire has worked out well. The secondary leaves a lot to be desired, but they're getting some good play up front from their defense, and the offense looks a lot better. Austin Hooper, that signing's starting to pay off. He's clearly Drake May's favorite red zone target. Getting Stephon Diggs has looked not too terrible so far for the Patriots as well. The only area of concern for me is the run game. They're not really running the ball with much authority, but don't blame it on Will Campbell. He's only given up 1 sack through the first 4 games. He looks as advertised when they picked him in the first round of this past draft. And look out for the Patriots to make the playoffs.
I like that, a dark horse playoff pick when you start talking about who we haven't talked about, and I didn't even plan on saying the Patriots' name in this show. So after we dive into a little bit of specific questions, we look at the local teams. We now covered the top teams, the biggest surprises, and looked into Cincinnati, Connor's dark horse, and also Indianapolis here in Indiana. We're going to step aside for a quick break, but when we come back, it's time for rapid fire to close out the show. Stick around. This is The Toss-Up. Welcome back to The Toss-Up. It's time for a brand new segment to close out the show. We're calling it Rapid Fire, a series of quick-hitting questions for our panelists who also have not seen these questions in advance. So no prep, no warning, just pure reactions. Let's see who can think quick on their feet. Connor, it's your debut on the show. We got to call you out first. You're MVP of the league right now.
For me, it's Lamar Jackson. Yes, I know the Ravens haven't been great, but their schedule gets considerably easier, so I think they're going to rack up some wins in the coming weeks. And on top of that, his stats look amazing. He leads the league in passing touchdowns. It's not like he's throwing for 170 yards a game. He's throwing in the 200s, close to the 300s, and he's still running the ball because he's Lamar Jackson, and that's what he's great at. He's my pick for MVP.
Well, you can't be the MVP if you win one game, so still work to do there in that column. Ben, your most valuable player.
It's Josh Allen right now. I think, again, I thought this was going to be the obvious pick. I thought this is what everyone was going to pick. This might be unique, but the 109 passer rating is like 4th in the NFL, and he hasn't really thrown the ball as much as he usually has at this point in the season. And again, some of those wins will rack up, and he'll get it.
Question with Josh Allen has never been talent or ability. It's just, does he turn the ball over? He has really dropped those numbers down even the last 3 seasons. Zach, your MVP.
I'm not going to be different on this one. It's Josh Allen. And I think to add to Ben's point, James Cook has taken so much of the workload in the run game and on the offense off of Josh Allen. He's been fantastic in the receiving game, but also on the ground. I think you might even see an uptick in numbers for Josh Allen if James Cook kind of takes a step back as the season goes on.
All right. Well, selfishly, I would like to throw in a name to this conversation. Look out for Justin Herbert in that category. I think this week, maybe a little bit of hangover. They lose against New York on the road. Sure, it was the start of the Jackson Dart era, but they're not any good in the Giants. It was a rough week for him, but I think Herbert is playing really good football. We'll flip the script now. We've talked about the most valuable player. Let's go team. Who is the most overrated team in the NFL right now? Zach, you start, and we'll work our way around.
Now, I know they aren't thought of too highly, but I am going to go with the 3-1 San Francisco 49ers. I just think they're maybe not overrated. I'll say fraudulent at 3-1. I don't think they're a good 3-1 team. Probably the worst 3-1 team in the league. They just lost in the Jaguars, who I said yes are surprising me, but still, are the Jaguars a real threat to do much in the playoffs? I don't think any of us would say that, so I'm going to say the 49ers.
Ben.
You know, there's 2 answers for me. I'll say this. I'll go the Kansas City Chiefs only because they're 2-2 right now, and I know it's weird for the Chiefs, but only because after that big win against Baltimore, everyone's, I think, is starting to think they're on the way back up. It's the same. It's not the same old Chiefs.
Why not?
This year. I think the Xavier Worthy coming back is big, but still, I just don't like the weapons that Patrick Mahomes has. Mahomes, I think, it hasn't really been different than the last couple of years, but I just don't think his weapons are the same.
Fair enough. Connor?
For me, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. They sit at 3-1. I think the Indianapolis Colts are a much better football team than them, and it starts with the quarterback play for me. We talked about earlier how great Daniel Jones has been. It's been quite the opposite for Trevor Lawrence. Just 5 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. He's not throwing for a lot of yardage, and he just looks uncomfortable with this new set team he's got around him, and it's just interesting to watch.
When you and the camera flipped strictly on you and you said the Colts, Zach to my left here, he started giving you a little bit of a fist bump. They like to hear that here in Indy. We'll flip it now and ask about player specific. This has nothing to do with ability or statistics or win or loss. Let's have some fun. Ben, who is the swaggiest player in the NFL?
I'm going to go with an extremely dark horse here. I'm going to go Xavier Legette. I love his style. I love the way he talks. I love his interviews. I think it's hilarious. That's my kind of swag.
All right, Connor?
For me, it's got to be Jackson Dart. I mean, you look back at his college days at Ole Miss, he's got all the chains, the necklaces, and the eye black is just so cool. It's Jackson Dart.
Big Blue in New York. He's 1-0 as a starter. Zach, your swaggiest player in the National Football League.
I'm going with a guy that we don't actually see on the field all too often anymore, Jameis Winston. If I looked up swag online, I think the first picture I'd see would be of Jameis Winston.
Fair enough. I'm always rocking with my guy, Jamar Chase. That Uno nickname is pretty tough. Final question before we get into Super Bowl picks. I want to ask, we talked about the Chiefs being 2-2, the Ravens with 1 win right now. It can be a team we haven't talked about yet, and Zach, we'll start with you. Who is going to kind of come out of nowhere? Maybe take some 75% of the year, but who's going to be right there knocking on the door of the playoff picture?
I think it's the Ravens, and we've talked about it already. Their schedule gets so much easier. They've already played some difficult teams. They play just one of their next 8 games is against an opponent with 3 or more wins on the season. Their schedule gets considerably easier throughout the middle part of the season. I think the Ravens, it's not coming out of nowhere because we all know the Ravens. We all know we thought they were going to be good heading into the year, but I look out for the Ravens. They'll be just fine.
Still in the top 8 of Super Bowl favorites via the odds. Ben?
This is tough. I've gone back and forth. I kind of like the outlook right now, and you're going to kill me for this, for the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Marvin Harrison Jr., the development right now, he's going to be fine. He's going to be okay. That's going to be a really good connection. I still have faith in Kyler Murray, and I think that offense is good enough.
Connor, I'm looking for a specific team out of you, knowing where you're from, but we'll see what you have.
I will not be picking the Chicago Bears. I'm going to be picking the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know the defense looks terrible. They're dead last. They've given up the most amount of total offensive yards to opponents. No one is even close to them. But the offense, they look really good. Dak Prescott is fully healthy. He looks great. CeeDee Lamb wasn't in the game, and they still put up 40 points against the Green Bay Packers. And say what you want about George Pickens and his personality, he's looked incredible, and Javonte Williams, it looks like he's finding a career resurgence in Dallas. And if the Cowboys can start to rack up some wins, build some momentum before they play more difficult opponents like the Eagles, I think they can sneak into the playoffs in that wild card round.
I really do like that pick. They do say you can't win if you can't score, and the Cowboys, one thing they can do so far this season is score. I was looking for the Bears, though. I'm pretty high on them in the Ben Johnson era. Let's go to Super Bowl picks. I know it's the Week 4 show. We're going to revisit the NFL, especially towards the postseason or right at it on the toss-up. But right now, quarter of the way through, Connor, who is your Super Bowl champion?
I thought about a lot about this for a while, but for me, it's the Buffalo Bills. No, it doesn't look like anyone is going to stop the Bills. They look incredible. And say what you want about the Bills, Josh Allen looks like he's in line to have one of his best seasons in his career.
I mean, they're the favorites right now, 5.5 to 1. Ben, who's your pick?
I like the circle back moment. This is how I started the show. The Bills cannot perform at the playoffs. When they get to the conference championship, it's going to be the Eagles again.
See, that's just what we do here in the toss-up. It's 100% scripted, and it was all supposed to end this way. Exactly. Is this where Zach says Indy?
No, I wish. I wish. Imagine, that would be awesome. But I'm going to go with the team that I spoke about earlier, the Los Angeles Rams. I think Matthew Stafford gets it done. Nobody really scares me in the NFC. I talked about my not love for the Eagles earlier, and I agree. I need to see it before I believe it for Josh Allen in the postseason.
Fair enough. And the Rams, it was only a couple of years ago, McVay and Stafford won it in LA. So we'll see if they can do it this year. But that does it for the show this week. Be sure to continue the discussion and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports. Next week, Joe Cronin will be your host breaking down the WNBA Finals. We'll see you then on the Toss Up.